Start recording. Stop recording button.
Yeah. Let's find a good spot. No, thought that'd be a good spot to sort of prop up my camera. Probably sideways. There we go. That'll work for now. Alright, so distorted guitar. Oh, that was it completely dropped out. You think it would have stayed up to volume? Alright. I need to work on my presets here. Effects. Come on. Oh, you know what? Now I remember why there's nothing happening. It's been a while since I've set this up. It's Alright, well anyways, so this whole video is really about gear and having things accessible to you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the setup here. This is a Blackheart tube amp, and the setup is pretty simple. There's no digital screens because that's kind of what I need. I don't need to deal with screens. It's best that, I know the settings. So, of course, for this particular amp is a 1x12 combo. And, of course, you have volume, distortion, presence, and then the regular EQs, bass, mid-range, high. And then for my effects, I am running a old Boss ME50. There's a newer version of this pedal called the ME80, and that's most likely going to be my next pedal. Honestly, you can buy a pedal and keep it for years, and it'll just be amazing if you spend the right money. I mean, even there's some cheapy pedals out there that still will give you your distortion or whatever you're looking for. But honestly, for me, this was way better than what I started out with. I started with this crazy, super inaccessible multi-effects unit that had a screen, and it was just insane. But I wanted it at the time, and I had gotten some credit, and that's what I did. I bought that thing, and you know what? I rarely ever use the thing. It just sits in a box, and I was able to figure it out a bit, thanks to some friends taking the time out of their day to read me the manual. This is years and years ago, way before I had a scanner or any ability to access print materials. I didn't even have a computer. All I had at the time was a cell phone and a digital recorder. No, even less. Cell phone, and I think I was still using cassette tapes, which tells you a lot. Oh God, it's funny when you think about where you start in your journey and then you end up. I couldn't even think or fathom that years later I would have such a great setup that I have today. For guitar, so, and actually there's another cab sitting off camera, which is a 2x12. When I have them all together, it's just crazy. And That one I got actually as a gift from my grandpa on my dad's side, which he was a touring musician, and to this day, I think he still does music somewhere in Texas or something. I can't remember what he's doing these days, but either way. So, the most important thing is to make sure that your setup is accessible to you. There's a lot of pedals and things out there that are really inaccessible. One of the things I thought was really cool was the Boss Katana amp. That was a pretty cool amp. I got to try it out. It's actually at the video when I walked to Guitar Center on my other channel, where it was months ago, and honestly that was a really cool amp. I think that might if I had to buy anything right now to replace what I have right now, that's probably what I would get. Mainly because there's effects in it. It's not crazy heavy. I mean, it's heavy, but it's not like I think it might weigh less than this amp I have here, or about the same. I didn't actually pick it up when I was there. I probably should have, just to test it out. It's at least the same size as this one. It's a 1x12 cab, so but who knows? I'll have to go back and try it out again. But so this thing, it's nice. If you can find one of these, I'm sure you could pick one of these up for like $100 by now. It is a great pedal. I mean, you can even run it on batteries, which is what I'm doing right now. It has on the front. It has you have your 3 pedals. Distortion, and then you have delay. Well, actually, no, distortion, and then your more crazy effects pedal, which is like tremolo and phasers and flangers, whatever you want to set it to. And then after that, then you have your your delay pedal, and then your volume / wah pedal. I could have this on the floor.
For real? Now, Wendy answered your question about bottom of screen.
Dang. Notifications, really should have muted that. Anyways, but so yeah, I normally would have this on the floor, but honestly, I really got this basement. It's so dusty, and it's honestly having stuff on the floor. I mean, yeah, it's meant to be on the floor, but honestly, I like it being kind of on a higher level because you can adjust all the knobs. I can stand or sit and adjust all the knobs much easier. Sometimes I wish I could just set this thing and forget it. Most of the times, I will say when I'm sitting down, I can just kind of hit one pedal and get a really nice distortion that I like. And other times, it's more like, well, I'm going to sit down and it's going to take me a little time to fiddle around and get the sound I want. So I don't know. I think it's just whatever works for you. Really, I think that's one of the most important things is to find what best works for you as a musician. As far as gear goes, because there's a number of things out there, especially for guitar. You have the Boss, you have Black Star, you have Line 6's line of pedals, like was it the ME Stomp Box? I think that that's one of the ones I would have loved to get is the Line 6 Stomp Box. It's just this massive thing. It reminded me a little bit of my first pedal, and I always wanted one of those. It's just this massive thing, and it was built like a tank too, man. This thing is just like freaking metal and just, oh my god, this thing is like, like, think of like the way an iPhone or like a MacBook Pro, it's like to computers. It's just like, it's has this solid like aluminum or steel. I can't remember if it was steel or aluminum case. I think it's probably aluminum casing. I imagine. I don't think there's many things being made out of actual steel or metal. So I could be wrong. But that one had like a $300. Most of these pedals, these multi-effects pedals, generally are run around between $300 and $400. So that just tells you another reason why I hadn't really purchased another one in a while, because they're just god awful expensive. Though, like I said, I bet I could find one on eBay for like 100 or 200 bucks, which wouldn't be so bad. That'd be nice to have one of those things. So
For real?
yeah.
Now, Wendy answered your question.
Oh dang! I keep getting a stupid. I gotta mute my speech here.
Speech off.
So yeah, to just kind of give you a little bit of a view of my home studio slash bedroom area here. Like I said, we got my amps here. I'm not sure how well that's captured. Got my amp and my pedal there. And then over here, I got my. I got to move my hat. I really should have thought about when I was actually originally thinking of doing this. Oh, there we go. Here we go. And of course, we got my MacBook Pro and my audio interface. And once again, I really didn't think about the things that were around here. So, yeah, things are a little bit... I haven't really been using this setup over here too much. I've mostly been using my iPad, which is on another other section of the studio area where my stereo is at. Mostly my listening area, really. Mainly because I got to get a new audio interface already. It's weird how these things, you constantly got to keep updating your gear. I had a Line 6 Sonic port, which I was really great. I could take it around and I could use it to record into my phone, guitar, all that kind of stuff. But now, ever since one of the last few updates, it basically just kind of stopped working. So now I got to buy something else to kind of take on the road, because honestly, I really need to get something I can take with me, because it's like, well, I'm not at home a lot at the times, at least in these past couple months. I've been kind of going between where I'm living now and friends' places and all this kind of stuff, and just doing things. And it's like, well, I want to sometimes be able to record something, or lay down a track, or do something, practice anything. And it's really hard to practice, especially acoustic guitar at somebody else's place. It's better to do electric, because then it's a lot quieter and, less likely to bother people. So, we'll see what I get. I've been looking at a couple different things. Let's see, looking at the thinking of either doing the roll and go mixer. I was looking at a couple things from the iRig people, and then I was also looking at something from what was it? It's the same people who do. Oh dang! I'm trying to remember the brand. I hate when I can't think of a brand. But it's another Lightning audio interface that I can't really think of. So. One of the other things I want to go over today, other than just gear, is some of the things I've been talking about, some of the really simple things. Let me turn off one of these effects, set the phone kind of down here. Not sure how well this camera, or what I'm picking up here. Let's see. Oh, wrong one. And like I said before, you just need the lightest touch. Just enough to get out a note. And this is to kind of talk about, trills and just a number of different things I want to kind of cover today. And just kind of a few simple exercises you can do to kind of really help build that stamina or that muscle memory in your hands. And so what I'm doing, this is just if you just pick any two frets that are a whole step apart from each other. Of course, that meaning you have one bar in between your two fingers. So right now I'm using my index and ring finger. And to do that, so I have it fretted on the first fret, and then I bring down my index finger, kind of, and then, so in this motion, it's very much like you're just kind of really, you're really just bringing your hand. It's almost like a rocking. You're almost rocking between these two fingers. And think of it, that's kind of like what trilling is. It's like up and down, hammering, or like what people refer to as hammer-ons, pull-offs. Of course, a pull-off is just a short. It's like when you're kind of you're just kind of hammering. It's another way of hammering the frets. This is just kind of fun ways to come up with cool little riffs. And these are just ways to kind of make it fun. Of course, that one I just randomly picked. It's like, hey, it's that thing. So there's always just little fun things to play. Within each, it's almost within each section. Almost like there's a number of things, even though you're within a small kind of box, in a way. Within a box, in a way, even though you have just those, just within, those two frets going up and down, and you still have a number of notes. And for this, I've just been plucking with my fingers. I didn't use a pick today. I just thought it would be, fun to do something different. Normally, I am playing with a pick, but this is, what referred to as slat key playing. There's something to be said about playing with your fingers. You kind of literally feel, what string is what. As opposed to, I don't know, I love playing with a pick, but for some reason, maybe it's just a physical thing, being that I can't see, being able to feel all the strings exactly when I'm, playing them and what's next to each other and what's what. Of course, that's kind of going out of the box a bit. But let's talk a little bit about that too. Of course, there's the 3-note per string theory. You know, if you're playing any kind of solo stuff. Or if you're just playing along with. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what more. You know, I try my best to try and give descriptions in ways that other people wouldn't, as best as I can. So, once again, for a hammer on, or just, once again, I also have, I guess, my fingers are also bent, right at that first knuckle. And my other finger is kind of, when it's coming down, it's kind of more straight. So that's kind of what also gives me that little bit more of a... It's kind of what gives the... allows that motion to happen. And another thing, I also have my thumb bent at the knuckle. To kind of give my fingers a little more flexibility. And another thing that'll help you with soloing is if you place the tip of your thumb, I don't know, just depending whether you can or not, and that'll open up, give you even more reachability within the strings. Flexibility. Yeah, so just remember, you're supposed to feel comfortable while playing, and it shouldn't be impossible to do these things. These things are not nearly as hard as what you think they are. It's just doing them, getting the muscle memory. Okay, and that's, for anybody, of course, the sweeping arpeggio. A lot of these things really are just knowing the patterns, knowing which ones to play and what order they go in. So, say for like a major scale, so, and you can do this. This is a really cool one. You can play this all over the neck, 2 frets apart. And if you just play So middle finger, pinky, then and that's on the A, and then so once again middle finger, pinky, index on the D, then middle finger also on the D, pinky, then onto the G, ring or index finger, then this is where it changes a bit, and you use your middle finger on a fret away. So basically, kind of like that 3-note. So that's what's different from the first. Well, I mean they're all a little different. So, and then when you put it together. Yeah. So once again, and this you can do it on any 3 strings, basically. Though it's always good to start at, what is that, an E? Are you sharp? It's always good to start at an E. Here we go. Or any major note. Like I said, you can. The great thing about this particular pattern is that you can play it all across the. Oh, kind of messed up. So once again, let's go over that again. It's middle finger, pinky on the A string, and then next string, of course, the D, and then 1 fret away, and then so you go on the next string, which is the pinky, which is 2 frets away, which you'll have this pattern. So first few notes together. That's what it'll sound like. And once you hit that last note, and then moving on to the G with the index finger, and then you want to use your your middle finger on a whole step away, and then a half step away. And then, so once again, played together, it sounds like this. So there you go. And like I said, you can play this all up and down the neck, a couple frets away from each other. So and there you have it. So just some things for thought, as far as and once again, for hammer-ons, once again, you want to bend. You want to have your thumb kind of at the center of the back of the neck. You'll feel it. It'll kind of open up your hand, and you'll be able to, and just start at, pick a box, any two frets, and start right there. And you'll feel that kind of that bouncy sound. You'll just, it's another thing is if that even seems kind of hard, just try bouncing on one string, 1 fret, till you can get that, and then a 2nd fret. It's almost like tapping on your desk, if you've ever just sat and tapped your fingers. Though, like I said, when you're doing it on the guitar, you want to have when your fingers are closer to together, so like what I'm doing right now, you definitely want to have those bent. And another way to you almost feel, you can feel the next string before you move down. You almost feel a little bit of you can feel just a little bit of that string kind of at the pads of your finger. You can really feel where the next string is. In case you're wondering how I'm doing that one, this is a half step, 2 half steps and a whole step. So, of course, 1 fret, and then half steps being right next to each other. Frets that are right next to each other. And whole steps have a fret in between each other. Except when it's at E and F, of course. Just a little quick music theory. E and F and B and C, those are the 2 natural half steps in the musical scale. If you're not really a big music theory person, sometimes that's wise. You'll hit sometimes when you're playing certain leads or certain scales, all of a sudden, it'll sound a little weird. Or maybe not necessarily weird, but you'll notice that all of a sudden, certain notes are, you don't need to always do a full fret away from each other because the notes are like right next to each other. The more you play, the more you'll hear these things kind of come out. And like if I were to play this note right here, see. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, E. There we go. So that's just the scale. Just kind of give a major scale there, just so you can see that there's natural half steps. So I think I'm going to end the lesson there. Hopefully you got a bit out of this. Hopefully this was helpful, maybe depending on where you're at in your journey of guitar. Whether you're just beginning or maybe you've been playing for a while. I don't know. But I always try and hope that these lessons are helpful in any way. And don't be afraid to experiment. Whatever helps you get to that next stage. And even, like I said, even if that's just bouncing between these 2 frets for when you start, or just the one. The more you play, the better you'll get. And this has been kind of a long video, so I'm going to end it there. We'll probably be doing another lesson soon. So hopefully you enjoyed this one, and it was informative and helpful. And yeah, talk to you in the next one. Just turn my speech on.
Speech on. Stop recording button.